The laughing range. The morning sun cast long shadows across the training grounds of the Galactic Defense Academy on Varkos. Hundreds of cadets moved between classrooms, simulators, and firing ranges, preparing for another day of instruction. The Academy was one of the most prestigious military institutions in Alliance space, bringing together recruits from dozens of worlds and species. For many of them, becoming an officer meant earning honor for their people. For others, it meant proving that their species deserved respect. Cadet Emma Hayes belonged to the second group. As she walked toward Range 7, a long rifle case slung over her shoulder, she could already feel eyes following her. Humans had joined the Alliance only a few decades earlier. While they had earned a reputation for stubbornness and courage, many older civilizations still viewed them as newcomers. Emma had learned to ignore the stares. What she wasn't prepared for was the laughter. The moment she opened her rifle case beside the firing line, several nearby cadets burst into amusement. "Is that an antique?" one asked. Another leaned forward, examining the weapon. "It fires solid projectiles?" A third shook his head. "I thought humans upgraded their military centuries ago." More laughter followed. Emma calmly lifted the rifle from its case. The weapon looked strangely old compared to the sleek plasma rifles surrounding it. Its matte black barrel stretched nearly a meter long. A precision scope sat on top. Every component had been carefully maintained. To Emma, it was beautiful. To everyone else, it looked primitive. A tall, blue-skinned cadet named Velker approached with a grin. "You actually plan to use that?" Emma glanced up. "Yes." Velker laughed. "Against plasma weapons?" "It works." Several cadets chuckled again. "Works for what?" Velker asked. "Hunting wildlife." Emma simply continued checking her equipment. She had no interest in arguing. Years of training had taught her something important. People who underestimated you often did half your work for you. The range doors opened. Conversations immediately stopped. Commander Terex entered. The veteran instructor towered over most cadets. His gray combat armor bore the scars of multiple campaigns, and his expression suggested he had little patience for nonsense. "Take your positions." The students quickly obeyed. Terex moved down the firing line, inspecting weapons and equipment. Everything proceeded normally until he reached Emma. The commander stopped. For a brief moment, he simply stared at her rifle. Emma noticed a subtle change in his expression. Not confusion, recognition. His eyes moved slowly over the weapon's barrel, stock, scope, and modifications. The laughter from nearby cadets returned. "Commander, can you believe she's bringing that relic?" Several students snickered. Terex didn't respond immediately. Instead, he leaned slightly closer to the rifle. His gaze sharpened. The amusement on the range slowly faded. The commander was known for many things. Being surprised was not one of them. "What model is this?" he finally asked. Emma straightened. "Human M. 92 long strike, sir." A few cadets exchanged amused looks. Terex nodded slowly. "Modified?" "Yes, sir. Personally, my father helped with some adjustments." The commander remained silent for several seconds. Then he looked directly at Emma. "Interesting." The single word immediately caught everyone's attention. Velker frowned. "Sir." Terex ignored him. Instead, he carefully examined the rifle one final time. "I haven't seen one of these configurations in years." Now the range was completely silent. The commander rarely complimented anything. Yet his voice carried a level of respect that nobody expected. Emma closed the rifle's bolt and placed it on the firing bench. Around her, confused cadets whispered among themselves. Why would a decorated combat commander care about an outdated ballistic rifle? Terex finally stepped back. His expression returned to normal. "We begin live-fire evaluations in 30 minutes. He turned toward the class. And before anyone makes further assumptions about another soldier's equipment, his gaze briefly settled on Velker and the others. "I suggest you wait until you've seen what it can do." No one laughed after that. As the cadets prepared for the day's trials, curiosity replaced mockery. Velker glanced repeatedly toward Emma's firing position. For the first time, he wasn't looking at her rifle with amusement. He was looking at it with concern. and far beyond the Academy's standard targets, hidden at distances most cadets never bothered to consider. New targets were already being positioned for the afternoon evaluation. Targets only one weapon on the range had been built to reach. The test nobody expected. The afternoon sky above Varkos was clear and still, creating perfect conditions for the Academy's marksmanship trials. Dozens of cadets stood behind the firing line, their weapons prepared and their attention focused on the targets spread across the valley below. Rows of holographic scoring displays hovered above the range, ready to record every shot. Commander Terex stepped forward. Today's evaluation will test accuracy, discipline, and consistency. The cadets nodded confidently. Most had trained with advanced plasma weapons for years. Hitting standard targets at combat range was routine. Emma remained quiet at the far end of the line. Her M92 long strike rested on its bipod, its dark barrel pointed toward the distant hills. Velker noticed it and smirked. Try not to damage any museum exhibits. Several cadets laughed. Emma ignored him. The first phase began. Targets appeared at 500 meters. One after another, cadets fired. Bright plasma bolts streaked across the range, striking steel silhouettes with impressive precision. Scores appeared instantly. Velker performed exceptionally well. A few others matched him. Then Emma's turn came. She settled behind her rifle. The range became strangely quiet. A deep breath. A steady trigger squeeze. Crack. Unlike the hum of plasma weapons, her rifle produced a sharp, thunderous report that echoed through the valley. The first target fell. Crack. The second dropped. Crack. The third. Every shot struck dead center. Perfect accuracy. Several cadets exchanged surprised looks. Still, nobody seemed overly impressed. At 500 meters, many weapons could achieve similar results. The second phase began. Targets moved to 1,000 meters. The challenge increased. Plasma rifles started showing limitations. Several shots drifted off target. Others lost energy over distance. Velker still performed well, though not perfectly. Emma remained calm. She adjusted her scope slightly. Crack. Direct hit. Crack. Another. Crack. Another. The scoring system displayed perfection once again. Now the whispers started. Velker's confidence began to fade. No one expected the human to perform this well. Commander Terex watched silently. Then he checked his datapad. A faint smile appeared. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "we will now proceed to the final phase." Confused expressions spread through the group. The evaluation schedule normally ended after 1,000 meters. "What final phase?" Velker asked. Terex gestured toward the distant mountains. Several automated drones began moving far beyond the normal training area. Gasps spread across the range. The new targets were being placed at extreme distances. 2,000 meters. 3,000. Even farther. One cadet stared in disbelief. "That's impossible." Another nodded. "No combat weapon can engage accurately from there." "Not Alliance weapons," Terex replied. The class fell silent. His gaze shifted toward Emma. "Cadet Hayes, prepare your rifle." Every head turned. Emma calmly adjusted her position. Velker frowned. "Wait, you're serious?" Terex folded his arms. "Very." The commander stepped beside the firing line. Most modern plasma weapons are designed for versatility. Fast engagements. Mobile warfare. He pointed toward Emma's rifle. That weapon serves a different purpose. The cadets listened carefully. It was designed for precision. A target nearly 4 kilometers away appeared on the main display screen. To the naked eye, it was barely visible. Several cadets laughed nervously. "No one can hit that." Emma didn't respond. Instead, she studied the terrain. Wind indicators, temperature readings, atmospheric pressure. Everything mattered. The valley remained silent. For nearly a minute, she made no movement. Then she adjusted her scope. A little left, a little higher. More waiting. The cadets grew impatient. "What is she doing?" one whispered. Commander Terex answered quietly. "Calculating." Finally, Emma exhaled. The trigger broke. Crack. The rifle roared. Nothing happened. 1 second. 2. 3. 4. Then, the distant target exploded. The range fell completely silent. No cheers, no laughter, no whispers, only stunned disbelief. The impact replay appeared on the central screen. Perfect center hit. Several cadets stared at the display as though it were malfunctioning. Velker's mouth hung open. "That's impossible." "No," Tarek said. "It's difficult." The commander stepped forward. For centuries, humanity developed specialists capable of striking targets at distances others considered unreachable. He looked at the class. Most people see an old rifle and assume it's obsolete. His gaze settled briefly on Emma. The wise soldier asks why it still exists. The words carried weight. Suddenly the weapon no longer looked outdated. It looked purposeful. Every modification, every adjustment, every strange feature now seemed deliberate. Velker slowly turned toward Emma. For the first time since meeting her, there was no mockery in his eyes, only respect. As the sun began to set behind the mountains, Commander Terex dismissed the class. Most cadets left in silence. They had arrived expecting to witness a human embarrass herself. Instead, they had watched her accomplish something none of them could replicate. And for many of them, a troubling realization had begun to form. Perhaps humanity's greatest weapons weren't always the newest. Sometimes they were simply the ones nobody else understood. The sniper's lesson. The story of Emma Hayes' impossible shot spread through the Galactic Defense Academy faster than any official announcement. By the next morning, nearly every cadet on Varkos had heard about it. Some claimed she had used experimental technology. Others insisted the range computers had malfunctioned. A few even suggested Commander Terex had arranged the demonstration himself. But those who had witnessed the shot knew the truth. The human had done exactly what everyone said was impossible. And now they wanted answers. The entire advanced marksmanship class gathered inside a large tactical briefing room. A holographic battlefield floated above the center table while Commander Terex stood before it. Emma sat quietly near the back. Velker sat in the front row. For once, he wasn't smiling. Terex activated the display. Images appeared above the table. Ancient battlefields, modern war zones, human soldiers hidden among forests, deserts, mountains, and ruined cities. Today's lesson, the commander said, is about a military tradition most Alliance species never fully understood. The images shifted. A single human soldier appeared on the display. Hidden, watching, waiting. A sniper. Several cadets exchanged glances. They had heard the term before. Very few understood it. Terex folded his arms. Most militaries focus on overwhelming force. More troops, more ships, more firepower. The display showed massive fleets exchanging fire. Then it changed again. One hidden human, one rifle, one shot. An enemy command vehicle exploded. The entire battlefield shifted. The sniper focuses on something different. The commander paused. Influence. The room remained silent. A sniper may fire only a handful of rounds during an operation. The display changed again. A battlefield offensive stalled after key officers were eliminated. Supply routes collapsed. Command structures failed. Entire armies retreated. Yet those few shots can change everything. Velker raised a hand. Ow! Terex looked at him. Because war isn't always about destroying armies. The hologram zoomed toward an enemy headquarters. It's about disrupting decisions. Another image appeared. A human sniper team hidden in snow-covered mountains. They target leaders. The image changed. Communication arrays. They disable coordination. Another change. Radar installations. They blind fleets. The commander pointed toward the display. A skilled sniper can influence a battlefield far beyond the power of their weapon. The room became thoughtful. For the first time, many cadets began understanding why Emma's rifle existed. It wasn't designed to fight armies directly. It was designed to shape battles. Terex deactivated the holograms. Then he smiled slightly. Which brings us to today's exercise. The room immediately became interested. Several cadets leaned forward. You will enter Training Zone 4. A map appeared. Dense forests, rock formations, rolling hills, streams and ravines. A perfect wilderness battlefield. Terex pointed toward the terrain. Your objective is simple. His gaze moved toward Emma. Find Cadet Hayes. The room erupted in surprise. That's it. One person. Velker frowned. How much time does she get? She left 3 hours ago. The room fell silent. A few cadets groaned. 3 hours was an eternity. Commander Terex activated a timer. Exercise begins now. The hunt started. Teams spread across the wilderness. Drones scanned tree lanes. Sensors swept valleys. Thermal equipment searched rocky ridges. Nothing. Hours passed. Still nothing. Velker led one of the most advanced search groups. Their equipment should have located anyone. Yet Emma remained invisible. Suddenly, a training beacon on one cadet's armor flashed red. Eliminated. The soldiers stopped walking. What? A simulated sniper hit. The others looked around. No sign of Emma. Minutes later, another beacon flashed. Then another. And another. Panic slowly spread. Cadets searched every direction. Nothing. No movement. No muzzle flash. No visible position. Only elimination signals. Velker's team climbed a rocky ridge overlooking the valley. This is impossible, one cadet muttered. Then Velker's armor flashed red. Eliminated. He froze. The entire team stared. A moment later, every remaining beacon turned red. The exercise ended. The cadets gathered in the central clearing. Exhausted, frustrated, confused. Commander Terex stood waiting. So, he asked, did anyone find Cadet Hayes? No one answered. The commander nodded. Interesting. Then a voice came from above. Looking for me? Every head snapped upward. Emma stood on a rocky ledge overlooking the clearing. Gasps spread through the group. The position provided a perfect view of nearly the entire training zone. She had been watching them the whole time, hidden in plain sight. Emma climbed down and approached the group. Velker shook his head in disbelief. You were there the entire time? Emma nodded. Mostly. How do we miss you? She smiled slightly. You were looking for a person. Velker frowned. And I stopped looking like one. The answer confused many of them. Commander Terex smiled. Exactly. He looked at the class. The rifle is only part of the equation. His gaze moved toward Emma. The real weapon is patience. Then discipline, observation, preparation, the ability to wait when everyone else rushes, the ability to remain invisible when everyone else wants to be seen. Terex turned toward the cadets. That rifle isn't dangerous because of its range. The commander glanced toward Emma one final time. It's dangerous because of the person behind it. For the first time, nobody saw Emma Hayes as the quiet human with the strange rifle. Now they saw what Commander Terex saw, a sniper, and they were beginning to understand why entire battlefields feared them, why it was different. 3 weeks after the sniper exercise, the Galactic Defense Academy was preparing for graduation ceremonies. Cadets across the campus focused on final evaluations and future assignments. The atmosphere was relaxed. Most believed the hardest part of their training was behind them. Then the emergency alarm sounded. Red warning lights flashed across every building. Sirens echoed throughout the academy. Within minutes, cadets and instructors rushed toward the command center. Emma arrived alongside Velker and the rest of her class. A massive holographic display filled the room. Commander Terex stood before it. His expression was grim. This is not a drill. The room immediately fell silent. The display zoomed in on a remote Alliance outpost located near the edge of civilized space. Several hostile ships surrounded it. Weapons fire lit the darkness. The Crimson Fong pirates attacked 6 hours ago, Terex explained. They've seized control of the surrounding mountain region and established artillery positions overlooking the colony. Images appeared. Defensive lines were collapsing. Supply routes had been cut. Emergency shelters were overcrowded. The situation looked desperate. A senior officer stepped forward. The pirates have established command towers in elevated positions. The hologram highlighted several fortified structures. Direct assault estimates predict heavy casualties. The room grew quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. Hundreds could die, perhaps more. Commander Terex studied the battlefield. Then his eyes shifted toward Emma. A few officers noticed. So did Velker. The commander pointed toward the mountain positions. Those towers are coordinating the entire operation. One officer nodded. If we remove them, enemy formations become disorganized. Correct. The room fell silent again. Then Terex made his recommendation. We don't need to destroy the entire pirate force. The commander looked directly at Emma. We need precision. Several officers immediately understood. Within an hour, a small reconnaissance team departed for the colony. Emma was among them. Velker volunteered as well. This time, nobody questioned her rifle. The journey through the mountains took most of the night. Cold winds swept across steep cliffs while distant explosions illuminated the horizon. The pirate command towers remained active. Every minute, they continued transmitting orders. Every minute, Alliance casualties increased. Finally, shortly before dawn, the team reached a concealed observation point. The battlefield stretched beneath them. Enemy patrols moved across the valleys. Armored vehicles guarded the command towers. Communication antennas covered the peaks. Velker studied the distance through binoculars. They're too far. Emma quietly assembled her rifle. No, she settled behind the weapon. They aren't. For the next hour, she observed. She watched patrol patterns, vehicle movements, guard rotations, signal transmissions. Everything mattered. The others waited patiently. Finally, Emma spoke. I have a shot. The team leader nodded. Take it. The mountain became silent. Emma controlled her breathing. Focused. Calculated. Waited. Then squeezed the trigger. Crack. The rifle thundered. Several seconds later, the first command antenna exploded. Across the battlefield, pirate communications instantly faltered. Soldiers looked around in confusion. Emma chambered another round. Crack. The second tower lost its primary sensor array. Alarm signals erupted throughout the enemy positions. Panic began spreading. Another shot. Another impact. Another critical system destroyed. Within minutes, the carefully coordinated pirate attack started unraveling. Units stopped receiving orders. Patrols moved in conflicting directions. Artillery batteries lost targeting data. Commanders struggled to regain control. Emma remained calm. Every shot had a purpose. Every target mattered. Finally, she located the pirate warlord directing the invasion from an armored observation platform. The battlefield below remained unaware. Emma adjusted her scope. The wind shifted slightly. She compensated, exhaled, fired. The round crossed kilometers of open air. Moments later, the command platform went dark. The pirate leader disappeared from every sensor feed. Silence spread through enemy communications. Then chaos followed. Without leadership, the invasion force began retreating. Some fled into orbit. Others abandoned equipment and escaped into the wilderness. The battle was over. 2 days later, the Academy held its graduation ceremony. The cadets stood proudly in formation. But something had changed. When Emma walked across the stage, every student watched with respect. No one laughed. No one mocked her rifle. No one called it obsolete. Because now they understood. Commander Terex addressed the graduating class one final time. Many soldiers judge equipment by appearance. His voice echoed across the ceremony grounds. They assume newer means better. The commander paused. They assume different means wrong. His gaze settled briefly on Emma. That assumption nearly always leads to failure. The crowd listened carefully. The purpose of a weapon is not to impress people. He pointed toward the assembled cadets. Its purpose is to solve problems. A few smiles appeared. Even Velker nodded. Terex continued. Some weapons win battles through overwhelming force. He looked toward Emma. Others win battles through precision. The commander stepped closer to the graduates. Never underestimate something simply because you don't understand it. The ceremony remained silent. Then he spoke the words many would remember for the rest of their lives. Everyone laughed because they saw an old rifle. His eyes moved toward Emma's M92. I recognized it because I knew what it represented. The commander smiled. Across the galaxy, there are countless soldiers. He paused, but only a few become true snipers. The graduates erupted into applause, and standing among them was Emma Hayes, the human cadet whose strange rifle had once been a joke. Now was a symbol, not of technology, not of power, but of mastery, because in the end, humanity's greatest strength had never been its weapons. It was the people who learned to use them better than anyone else. The end. Like and comment. Subscribe my channel. Thanks watching video.